What would you do if your family forgot to invite you to Christmas for 3 years straight, but never forgot your phone number when they needed money? That's exactly what happened to me. While they celebrated without me, I was secretly closing on a desert property that would change everything. They thought I'd always be their personal ATM, available 24/7 for withdrawals, but never important enough for family moments. I'm Ingrid Torres, 31 years old, and this is the story of how I finally said no to my toxic family. Not with anger, but with property law, security cameras, and a deputy sheriff. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Mom's calls always started the same way. How's work? Code for how's your bank account? It was a Tuesday evening, and I was still at my desk, analyzing data patterns for a Fortune 500 client. The phone buzzed. Mom. Again. Third time this week. Ingrid, honey, how's work going? Her voice dripped with that fake sweetness she reserved for withdrawal requests. It's fine, Mom. What do you need? Well, Evan's car broke down again. You know how hard he's trying to get back on his feet? Evan, my 35-year-old brother who'd been getting back on his feet for the past decade. I stared at my computer screen, watching my direct deposit notification pop up. $3,147 after taxes. By tomorrow morning, at least $500 would be gone. This had been my life for 10 years. Since I landed my first real job at 21, I'd become the family's emergency fund, retirement plan, and personal bailout service rolled into one. I paid for Mom's dental work, Evan's car repairs, Dad's medication copays, even Cousin Maria's wedding shower because family helps family. But here's the thing about being the family ATM: you're essential for transactions, invisible for everything else. Last month, I found out about Dad's birthday dinner through Instagram. The month before that, Evan got engaged, and I learned about it when Mom called asking for money for the engagement party. I pulled up my banking app. In the past year alone, I'd transferred $47,000 to various family members. That's more than some people's entire salary. And what did I have to show for it? A cramped studio apartment and a 10-year-old Honda Civic. Ingrid, are you there? Yeah, Mom. I'll transfer it tonight. You're such a good daughter. Unlike some people who only think of themselves. The irony wasn't lost on me. Evan needed time to find himself. I apparently needed overtime to fund his journey. Let me paint you a picture of the Torres family hierarchy. At the top sat Evan, the golden child who could do no wrong despite doing nothing right. He had a bachelor's degree in marketing from a decent state school, fully funded by our parents' retirement savings and my freshman year contributions. 3 years post-graduation, he was still exploring his options from Mom's couch. Your brother is sensitive, Mom would say. He needs support, not pressure. Meanwhile, I'd worked 2 jobs through college, graduated summa cum laude with a computer science degree, and landed a 6-figure job by 25. My reward? Being designated the family's financial safety net, while Evan got the emotional support, the attention, and somehow all the credit. The family photo albums told the real story. Evan's graduation took up 20 pages. Mine got 2. Evan's failed business venture, a food truck that lasted 3 months, had its own memorial section. My promotion to senior analyst, not even mentioned at Thanksgiving. But the real kicker was Mom's Facebook. Her profile picture? Her and Evan at his 35th birthday party, the one I'd paid for but wasn't invited to. Her bio read, "Proud mother of my amazing son Evan, entrepreneur and dreamer." No mention of a daughter. Last week, I ran into Mrs. Chen from next door to Mom's house. "How's your brother's new job?" she asked. "What new job?" "Oh, your mom said he got hired at that marketing firm downtown." I looked it up. There was no marketing firm. Evan had simply upgraded his LinkedIn to say marketing consultant while still sleeping until noon. But Mom had spun it into success story for the neighbors. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I calculated everything. 10 years, $470,000. That was my contribution to the Torres family fund. 3 years, 3 empty chairs. But my direct deposits never missed a beat. Christmas 2021. Oh, honey, we thought you were working. You always work holidays. That was Mom's excuse when I showed up at her door with presents, only to find the family halfway through dinner. I spent that Christmas eating Chinese takeout alone while they posted photos captioned "Complete Family Celebration." Christmas 2022. They changed the date, told everyone but me. We sent a text, Mom insisted. She hadn't. I had screenshots of our entire conversation history. Nothing. But 2 days later, she texted asking for $3,000 for Evan's investment opportunity. Christmas 2023. Complete radio silence. No excuse, no pretense. They just forgot I existed. Until December 26th, when Mom called about Evan's car trouble. The pattern was so clear, a blind person could see it. I existed only when they needed something. The rest of the time, I was background noise, white static, a non-entity. But I kept sending money. Every request, every emergency, every opportunity for Evan. Why? Maybe I thought I could buy my way into being family. Maybe I believed that one day they'd see my worth beyond my wallet. New Year's Eve 2023. I sat in my empty apartment, watching their Instagram stories. Mom, Dad, Evan, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone together. Champagne toasts, countdown celebrations. The caption? Blessed to have all my loved ones close. All of them. Except one. My phone buzzed at 12:47 a.m. Not a Happy New Year text. Not a "We miss you" message. It was a Venmo request from Evan for $500. The description? NYE emergency. I stared at that request until my eyes blurred. Then another notification popped up, this time an email, from a law office. My hands trembled as I opened it. Ruby saw what I was too afraid to admit. I wasn't family, I was funding. Aunt Ruby had been the black sheep before me. Never married, no kids, built a successful consulting firm from scratch. At family gatherings, she'd sit in the corner with her wine, watching everything with those sharp brown eyes that missed nothing. "Know your worth, Ingrid," she'd whisper when Mom paraded Evan's latest achievement around. "And I don't mean your salary." Ruby was the only one who noticed when I wasn't there. She'd text, "Another convenient forgotten invitation," with a wine glass emoji. She saw the pattern years before I admitted it to myself. At her 65th birthday party, the last time I saw her, she pulled me aside. "You're drowning yourself to keep them afloat," she said, gripping my hand. "They'll drain you dry if you let them. Trust me, I know. I was you, 30 years ago." "But they're family," I'd protested. "Family doesn't treat you like an ATM with a pulse. Look at me, Ingrid. Really look. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I'm unmarried, but I'm not unloved. I chose my own life instead of funding theirs. And you know what? Margaret has never forgiven me for it." 2 months later, Ruby died of a sudden heart attack. Mom cried for exactly one day, then started asking about the will. "She must have left something for Evan," she kept saying. He was always her favorite nephew. But Ruby had been planning something else entirely. The lawyer's email was brief. "Ms. Torres, regarding your Aunt Ruby Smith's estate, we need to schedule a meeting at your earliest convenience." I replied immediately, my heart pounding. And I told no one. For the first time in my life, I had a secret from my family. For the first time in my life, I had something that was completely, legally, mine. The lawyer's office smelled like leather and old money. James Mitchell, a man in his 50s with kind eyes, slid a folder across his mahogany desk. "Your aunt was very specific," he said. "She updated her will 2 years ago, after what she called the Thanksgiving incident." I knew exactly what he meant. The Thanksgiving where Mom announced Evan's engagement to the family while I was in the kitchen doing dishes, excluded from the moment yet again. "She left you $400,000, Ms. Torres. And this letter." My hands shook as I opened Ruby's handwriting. My dear Ingrid, they won't understand why I chose you. Let them wonder. This money isn't for them, not a cent. It's for you to build something they can't take. Don't tell them. Don't share. Don't feel guilty. For once in your life, choose yourself. Build something they can't take. Love, Ruby. $400,000. More money than I'd ever seen. More than I'd given away over the years. There's more, James said. Ruby left specific instructions. The money is already in a trust, protected from any claims. She also suggested you consider forming an LLC if you decide to purchase property. She was very thorough about protecting this from family interference. She knew they'd come for it? She said, and I quote, "Margaret will claim it's family money within 5 minutes of finding out." I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. Ruby knew them better than I did. That night, I sat with my laptop, Ruby's letter beside me. $400,000. Freedom, independence, a chance to disappear from their radar. For the first time in a decade, I didn't answer Mom's call. That's when I decided, if I wasn't family at Christmas, I wouldn't be their ATM in January. December 25th, 2023, 8:47 a.m. I sat alone in my studio apartment, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold. My phone stayed silent. No Merry Christmas text. No invitation for a late addition to dinner. Nothing. But Instagram told a different story. Mom posted at 9:15 a.m. Perfect family Christmas. So blessed to have my loved ones close. God gave me the best son a mother could ask for. Hashtag blessed. Family. First. Christmas joy. The photo showed them all around the tree. Mom, Dad, Evan, his girlfriend, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone except me. Evan was opening a new watch, the $3,000 Omega he'd been wanting. The same amount Mom had asked me for last month for home repairs. I scrolled through the comments. Beautiful family. You're so lucky. Family is everything. Then I saw it. Evan's post from an hour later. Him standing next to a BMW with a red bow. Best Christmas surprise ever, thanks to the best mom in the world. A new BMW. While I drove a 10-year-old Civic that I'd bought used. December 26th, 10:30 a.m. My phone rang. Ingrid, honey, how was your Christmas? So sorry we missed you, everything was so last minute. Mom's voice was syrupy sweet. Listen, Evan had a little fender bender with his new car. Can you believe it? On Christmas. We need about $5,000 for the deductible and repairs. You know how it is. I stared at the phone. His new BMW? Silence. Then, how did you— it's not really new, it's used. The one with the red bow? More silence. I can't help you, Mom. What do you mean you can't? You always— I hung up. Then I opened my laptop and started searching. Houses for sale, Arizona desert. 250 miles of desert between me and them felt like freedom. I'd never been to Arizona, but something about the vastness of it called to me. Empty space, clear skies, no one for miles. The opposite of my family's suffocating dynamics. The listing appeared on my third day of searching. Desert paradise, 3BR 2BA on 5 acres. Privacy, mountain views, fully gated, 375,000. The photos showed a Spanish-style house with thick adobe walls, surrounded by saguaro cacti and endless sky. The listing mentioned state-of-the-art security system with cameras and remote access controls. It was like Ruby had designed it herself. I called the realtor immediately. I'd like to schedule a viewing. When were you thinking? This weekend. I'll fly out Friday. I told work I needed a personal day. Told no one else anything. For the first time in my life, I was making a decision that was entirely mine. The moment I drove through those gates, I knew. The house sat like a fortress in the desert, beautiful in its isolation. The nearest neighbor was half a mile away. The security system was military grade, cameras covering every angle, smart locks, motion sensors. It's very secure, the realtor noted. Perfect, I said. Standing on that patio, looking out at the mountains painted purple by the setting sun, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. No one could show up uninvited here. No one could guilt their way through those gates. No one could make me feel like nothing in my own home. I'll take it, I said. Don't you want to think about it? Maybe discuss with family? No, this is my decision. The realtor smiled. The seller will be thrilled. They've been waiting for someone who'd appreciate the privacy. Privacy. The most beautiful word I'd ever heard. James said, if they can't find it, they can't claim it. The law office of Mitchell and Associates had handled Ruby's affairs for 20 years. James understood family dynamics better than most therapists. I want to buy a house, I told him, but I need it protected, completely. He leaned back, fingers steepled. Your aunt anticipated this. She actually left notes about asset protection strategies. Smart woman. She knew my family. She knew her family. Sometimes that's enough. Here's what I recommend. We form an LLC, limited liability company. The LLC buys the house, not you personally. Your name won't appear on any public records related to the property. Is that legal? Completely. It's how smart money protects assets. We'll call it, he thought for a moment, Desert Rose Holdings, LLC. Generic enough to be invisible, specific enough to be valid. Over the next 2 weeks, James walked me through everything. The LLC was registered in Delaware for maximum privacy. The operating agreement was ironclad. The house purchase would be a cash transaction through the company. Your family could search property records for years and never find it, he assured me. We also set up a trust for the remaining money, with James as the trustee. Every document was notarized, witnessed, recorded. A paper trail that led nowhere near my family. One more thing, James said at our final meeting. Document everything. Every text, every call, every request for money. If they ever try to claim you owe them or that this money is theirs, you think they would? Your aunt thought they would. She kept 30 years of records. Just in case, she said. I thought about Mom's Facebook posts, Evan's BMW, 3 empty chairs at Christmas. I'll document everything, I promised. It took them 3 weeks to notice I wasn't answering, but only because Evan needed bail money. The move was surgical in its precision. I kept my apartment for 2 more months, slowly moving only essentials. Clothes, laptop, important documents. Everything else I either sold or donated. No forwarding address, no announcement, no goodbye. I told my employer I was going fully remote, citing family caregiving needs. The irony made me smile. They approved immediately. I was too valuable to lose. My social media went dark. Not deleted, that would raise questions. Just quiet. No posts, no likes, no comments. A digital ghost. The first week in the desert house was surreal. I'd wake up expecting Mom's call about some emergency, but my new phone number, given only to work and James, stayed silent. My old phone sat in a drawer, accumulating messages I didn't read. Week 2, I established routines. Morning coffee watching the sunrise, work with mountain views, evening walks where the only sounds were wind and distant coyotes. Week 3, the old phone buzzed so much I thought it would vibrate off the table. Finally, I looked. 47 missed calls from Mom. 23 from Evan. 15 from Dad. Text after text. Where are you? This is ridiculous. Family doesn't do this. Evan needs help. The last voicemail. Mom's voice shrill. Evan got arrested for a bar fight. We need $5,000 for bail. I don't care what little tantrum you're having, Ingrid. Family comes first. I deleted them all. Then I saw one text from an unknown number. This is Deputy Ramirez from the county sheriff's office. Your brother gave us your number. He's being released on his own recognizance. No bail needed. So they'd lied. Again. Even about jail they lied. Every morning, coffee with a desert sunrise and no one asking for money. The desert house became my sanctuary in ways I hadn't imagined. For the first time in my adult life, I decorated for myself. No hand-me-downs from Mom, no guilt about spending money on frivolous things while Evan needed help. I bought art that spoke to me, bold abstracts in turquoise and coral, planted a garden with succulents and desert wildflowers, set up a home office with a view that made video calls jealous. "Where are you calling from?" clients would ask. "It's gorgeous." "Just my home office," I'd say, smiling at my secret. The neighbors were perfect, present if needed, invisible otherwise. Mrs. Henderson from down the road brought homemade salsa on week 2. "We respect privacy out here," she said, "but we also look out for each other." My work thrived without the constant emotional drain. I completed projects early, took on complex analyses that I'd been too exhausted to tackle before. My manager mentioned promotion potential. "You seem different lately," she said during our one-on-one. "More focused, more confident." "Just finally getting enough sleep," I told her. It was more than that. It was waking up without dread, going to bed without guilt, existing without being someone's personal ATM. I started therapy via video calls. Dr. Martinez specialized in family trauma and financial abuse. "You were parentified and monetized simultaneously," she explained. "They turned you into both the parent and the bank. Is it wrong that I don't miss them? Is it wrong that you don't miss being used?" 6 weeks into my new life, I realized something profound. I wasn't lonely. For years, I'd been surrounded by family and felt invisible. Now, alone in the desert, I finally felt seen. By myself. "Mom, if it's a real emergency, insurance covers it. If it's not, Evan can handle it." The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I'd finally answered after 2 months of silence, partly from curiosity, partly from Dr. Martinez encouraging me to test my boundaries. "Ingrid, thank God, Evan's been in an accident." Mom's voice was pure panic. My heart jumped. Despite everything, the programming ran deep. "What happened? Is he okay?" He's in the hospital. We need you here. And we need help with the medical bills." "Which hospital?" "What?" "Which hospital, Mom? I'll call them directly." Silence. Then, "Why would you call them?" "To verify insurance coverage and see what's actually needed." "You don't trust your mother?" "Which hospital?" "St. Mary's. But Ingrid—" "I'll call them now." I hung up and dialed St. Mary's. No Evan Torres admitted. I checked 3 other hospitals. Nothing. My phone rang immediately. Mom again. "Well, he's not exactly in the hospital yet. He's at urgent care. But he might need the hospital." "For what?" "He hurt his back. Moving furniture." I pulled up Instagram on my laptop. There was Evan, posted 40 minutes ago, doing shots at a bar with friends. Caption: "Tuesday fun day. Mom, Evan's at Ricky's bar doing tequila shots." Silence. "How did you— That must be old." "It's timestamped 40 minutes ago." "Well, that's before the accident." "The accident that happened while moving furniture? At 2 p.m. on a Tuesday? While he's unemployed?" "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. Goodbye, Mom." "Wait. He really does need—" I hung up. Then I blocked her number. And Evan's. And Dad's. Dr. Martinez was right. Every emergency was a test to see if the ATM was still operational. If you've ever been the family ATM, hit that subscribe button and comment below. What's the most ridiculous emergency your family ever invented? I read every single comment, and your stories help me know I'm not alone in this journey. Let's build a community of people who chose themselves. Now, back to what happened next. Because 6 months of peace was about to end in the most unexpected way. 365 days of choosing myself, not one regret. 6 months in the desert transformed me. Without the constant drain of family drama, I became someone I actually liked. My savings account grew by $30,000, money that would have disappeared into Evan's emergencies or Mom's necessary expenses. Work noticed the change. "Ingrid, your performance has been exceptional," my director said during my review. "We're promoting you to senior data analyst. 25% raise, equity options, and you can stay remote." I celebrated alone with champagne and sunset, and it was perfect. My morning routine became sacred. Yoga at sunrise, coffee on the patio, work with purpose instead of panic. Afternoons meant hiking trails where the only drama was avoiding rattlesnakes. Evenings were for reading, painting, or video calls with the friends who'd always supported me. "You look 10 years younger," my college roommate Sarah said during our weekly catch-up. "I feel like I'm finally living my own life." I joined a local book club, started volunteering at the animal shelter, even took pottery classes. Normal things that normal people do when they're not funding everyone else's existence. The old phone sat in a drawer, turned off but not discarded. Dr. Martinez said keeping it was important. Evidence of the pattern, proof of the harassment, if needed. Once a month, I'd power it on, screenshot the messages without reading them, then turn it off again. Month 4, 312 messages. Month 5, 457 messages. Month 6, 189 messages. The decline was interesting. They were starting to accept that the ATM was permanently out of service. Then Sarah sent me a text that changed everything. "Hey, did you know your mom is posting about you on Facebook? You might want to see this." My peaceful desert sanctuary was about to be discovered. One tagged photo. That's all it took for my fortress to be discovered. It was Jennifer from book club who posted it. A innocent photo of our group at my house, wine glasses raised, sunset blazing orange behind us. She tagged me before I could ask her not to. The caption: "Book club views don't get better than this. Thanks at Ingrid Torres for hosting." I untagged myself immediately, but the damage was done. Within 2 hours, my cousin Maria texted my work phone. "Nice house. Mom's side of the family is very interested in where you've been hiding." My stomach dropped. Maria was Mom's spy, always had been. She'd already screenshot everything. I watched it unfold in real time through my fake Facebook account. Maria posted the screenshot in the family group chat I'd left months ago. The comments exploded. "Is that Ingrid's house? Where is this? How can she afford that? Must be nice to abandon family." Then Mom's comment: "That house looks expensive. Interesting how she has money for that but not for family emergencies." Evan added, "Bet she used Ruby's money. That was supposed to be for everyone." Within 6 hours, they'd found the listing. Someone, probably Evan's girlfriend who worked in real estate, pulled the public records, but they hit a wall. The owner was listed as Desert Rose Holdings, LLC. Mom called my work phone from different numbers 17 times. I didn't answer. Then came the text that made my blood run cold. From Mom to my work phone. "We know about Ruby's money. We know about the house. That inheritance was meant for the family, not for you to run away. We're coming to visit our daughter and see what family money bought. See you soon." They didn't have my address, but they had enough to find it. Mom said, "Family shares everything." I replied, "Since when am I family?" The video call ambush came at 7 p.m. on a Thursday. Mom, Dad, Evan, and even my aunts Patricia and Linda, the full family tribunal. I'd answered thinking it was a work call. Stupid. "How could you?" Mom started, tears already flowing. "Hiding Ruby's money? Buying secret houses? Who are you?" "I'm the person who paid your bills for 10 years. Family helps family," Evan shouted. "That money Ruby left was for all of us." "Really? Show me the will that says that. Silence. You went behind our backs, Mom continued, sneaking around like a thief. Like you snuck around having Christmas without me, 3 years in a row? That's different. You're right. It is different. You excluded me from family. I excluded you from my inheritance. Evan leaned into the camera. You owe us. We raised you, supported you. I've paid back any raising 10 times over. $470,000 over 10 years. I have spreadsheets. Dad finally spoke. Ingrid, be reasonable. Evan needs help getting started. Evan is 35 with a degree and no job by choice. I needed help at 21 and got none. You're being selfish, Aunt Patricia chimed in. I'm being free. Mom's mask slipped. That house should be Evan's. He's the one who deserves… Deserves what? My money? My work? My life? You can't keep family out, Ingrid. We have rights. You have nothing. The house isn't even in my name. Evan's face went red. We'll contest the will. We'll sue. With what money? I asked. And on what grounds? That you weren't mentioned in the will of an aunt who couldn't stand you? We're coming to see you, Mom declared. Family doesn't abandon family. Then why, I asked, did you abandon me first? I ended the call. For every year you forgot to invite me to Christmas, I'm taking a year of no contact. The text started immediately after I hung up. Mom, we're booking flights. You can't stop us from visiting our daughter. I responded once. I'm not your daughter when you need family. I'm your ATM. The bank is closed. Evan, you can't keep us out of that house. We have rights. You have no rights to property owned by an LLC you have no part in. Mom, what's an LLC? Stop playing games. It's called asset protection. Something Ruby taught me. The calls escalated over the next 3 days. Different numbers, voicemails ranging from tears to threats. Aunt Linda even invoked religion. God sees your selfishness. Finally, I sent one message to the family group chat Maria had added me back to. This is my final communication. For 10 years, I funded this family while being excluded from it. 3 Christmases forgotten. 0 birthdays remembered. But every emergency, every want, every desire, I was remembered then. Ruby saw this pattern and chose to break it. The house you've seen is owned by a legal entity. I have security cameras, legal representation, and local law enforcement on speed dial. Any attempt to visit uninvited will be treated as trespassing. For every year you forgot I was family, I'm taking a year of no contact. That's 3 years. See you in 2027, if ever. Then I called James Mitchell. They're threatening to come here. Let them come, he said. We're ready. I'll notify the sheriff's department about potential trespassing. Document everything. Next, I called Deputy Ramirez, who I'd met at a community meeting. I may have some unwanted visitors soon. Family trouble? Family who forgot I existed until I had something they wanted. We've got your back, Ms. Torres. Just call if they show up. The ultimatum was set. The fortress was ready. My neighbor texted, "There's a group outside your gate arguing with a locksmith." I'd underestimated their determination and overestimated their intelligence. They actually flew to Arizona, rented a car, and showed up at my gate at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, 6 days after our video call. But I knew they were coming. Mom had made the fatal mistake of posting on Facebook. Flying to Arizona to see my daughter. Can't wait to reunite with family. Aunt Patricia commented, "Give her our love." Evan added, "Time to set things right." Mrs. Henderson, my neighbor, was my early warning system. She texted at 6:45 a.m. "White SUV circling your property. They seem lost." At 6:55 a.m. "They found your gate, taking photos." At 7:00 a.m. "They're arguing with someone on the phone." At 7:15 a.m. "A locksmith van just pulled up." I opened my security app. There they were, clear as day on my cameras. Mom in her best guilt trip outfit, the same black dress she wore to Ruby's funeral. Evan in his fake businessman costume, khakis and a polo he probably bought for court appearances. Dad looking uncomfortable, hands in pockets. And surprisingly, Evan's girlfriend Brittany, filming everything on her phone. The locksmith was examining the gate, shaking his head. I could read his lips. I can't open this without proof of ownership. Mom gestured wildly at the house. Evan pulled out his phone, showing the locksmith something, probably the Zillow listing. I started screen recording everything. Then I called Deputy Ramirez. They're here, with a locksmith. On my way, don't engage until I arrive. I texted James. It's happening. He replied immediately. Recording? Everything. Perfect. I'm on standby for video call if needed. The show was about to begin. I watched them on my security feed, lying to a locksmith about owning my house. The audio was crystal clear thanks to the high-end security system. Mom's voice carried across the desert morning. My daughter lives here. She's having mental health issues and locked us out. We're very worried. The locksmith, a young guy who looked increasingly uncomfortable, said, Ma'am, I need to see proof of ownership or residency, a utility bill, deed, something. We're her parents, Mom's voice pitched higher. Isn't that enough? Legally, no, I could lose my license. Evan stepped forward, puffing up his chest. Look, man, we'll pay double, triple. This is a family emergency. Sir, I can't. 500 cash right now. Evan pulled out bills. Where did he get that? Oh, right, probably from Mom, who got it from years of my deposits. The locksmith stepped back. That's bribery. I'm leaving. Wait! Mom grabbed his arm. Please, my daughter is sick. She's having a breakdown. She stole family money and ran away. Now the neighbors were gathering. Mrs. Henderson stood in her driveway, phone out. The Johnsons from across the road had stopped their morning walk to watch. Brittany kept filming, narrating. We're trying to help Ingrid, but she's locked us out. This is what mental illness does to families. That's when I stepped outside, staying behind my gate, my phone recording. I'm not mentally ill. I'm just done being your ATM. Mom's face went white, then red. Ingrid, open this gate right now. No. You can't keep your family out. This is private property owned by Desert Rose Holdings LLC. You're trespassing. Evan kicked the gate. This is our house. Ruby's money was for family. Show me one legal document that says that. The locksmith was already backing toward his van. I'm not getting involved in this. Mom screamed. This house belongs to Evan. I replied. According to what law? The scene exploded into chaos. Mom's carefully maintained composure shattered completely. You ungrateful little bitch! The words echoed across the desert. Mrs. Henderson gasped. We gave you everything. We raised you. And this is how you repay us? You raised me to be your personal bank account, I said calmly, knowing everything was being recorded. And I'm done. Evan started shaking the gate violently. Open this fucking gate. That's my inheritance. Ruby loved me. Ruby left you nothing. That should tell you everything. More neighbors appeared. Someone was live streaming. Brittany tried to control the narrative, talking loudly to her phone. This is what happens when family members have mental breakdowns. We're just trying to help her. I don't need help, I announced clearly, making sure the gathering crowd heard. What I need is for the family who forgot to invite me to Christmas 3 years running to leave my property. Dad finally spoke. Ingrid, please. Let's discuss this like adults. Adults don't bring locksmiths to break into homes they don't own. Mom turned to the crowd, playing victim. She stole from us $400,000 that belonged to the family. I pulled out my phone and showed the screen to the neighbors, though not close enough for anyone to read details. Here's Ruby's will, my name, only my name. And here's the LLC documentation for this house. All legal, all mine. You planned this, Evan screamed. You've been planning to steal from us. I planned to escape from you. There's a difference. That's when we heard the sirens. Deputy Ramirez was arriving, and he wasn't alone. Two patrol cars pulled up, lights flashing. The crowd grew larger. Someone said, "This is better than reality TV." Mom's face went from red to white. "You called the police on your own mother?" Deputy Ramirez looked at the papers. "Ma'am, this property belongs to Desert Rose Holdings, LLC." Deputy Ramirez stepped out of his patrol car with the calm authority of someone who'd handled family disputes before. His partner, Deputy Chen, immediately began dispersing the crowd to a safe distance while keeping them as witnesses. "Morning, Ms. Torres," Ramirez nodded to me, then turned to my family. "I'm Deputy Ramirez. I understand there's a property dispute?" Mom immediately went into performance mode. "Officer, thank God! Our daughter is having a mental health crisis. She stole family money and locked us out of our house." "Your house?" Ramirez pulled out his notebook. "Can I see proof of ownership?" "She's our daughter," Mom insisted. "That doesn't make this your property. Ms. Torres, do you have documentation?" I handed him the folder I'd been holding. "LLC ownership documents, deed, all notarized and filed with the county." Ramirez examined them carefully. "Everything appears to be in order. This property is legally owned by Desert Rose Holdings, LLC." He looked at my family. "Are any of you members of this LLC?" "What's an LLC?" Mom demanded. "A limited liability company, a legal business entity." He turned to me. "Ms. Torres, are these people welcome on your property?" "No, Deputy, they're not." "Then I need to ask you folks to leave," Ramirez addressed my family. "This is private property, and you're trespassing." Evan exploded. "This is bullshit. She used stolen money." "Do you have evidence of theft?" Ramirez asked calmly. "Ruby's inheritance was for everyone." "Do you have documentation stating that?" Silence. "Then you need to leave, now, or I'll have to arrest you for trespassing." Mom's mask completely fell. "You'd arrest us? For visiting family?" "For trespassing on private property after being told to leave," Ramirez clarified. "Your choice." James said through the phone, "Any further attempts will result in restraining orders." I pulled out my phone. "Deputy, my attorney would like to speak with you." James Mitchell's face appeared on the video call, professional even at 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday. "Deputy Ramirez, I'm James Mitchell, representing Ms. Torres and Desert Rose Holdings, LLC. Morning, counselor. I want to make clear that my client has full legal ownership of this property. Any attempts to access it without permission constitute criminal trespass. We have security footage of attempted breaking and entering with the locksmith." The locksmith, who hadn't left yet, went pale. "They told me it was their house." "We have that on recording," James continued. "We also have documentation of harassment, including hundreds of messages and calls after my client requested no contact." Mom tried one last manipulation. "This is family. You can't involve lawyers in family matters." James responded coolly. "Mrs. Torres, your daughter is my client, not your property. Any further attempts to contact her or access this property will result in immediate restraining orders. We have enough evidence for criminal harassment charges." Evan stepped forward aggressively. "You can't threaten us." Deputy Chen moved between Evan and the gate. "Sir, step back." "This is insane," Brittany shouted, still filming. "You're destroying a family." I finally spoke up. "This family destroyed itself when it forgot I existed except when bills were due." James added, "Deputy, my client would like to file a formal trespassing complaint. We'll be pursuing a restraining order Monday morning." Ramirez nodded. "Understood. Folks, you have 2 minutes to return to your vehicle and leave the area. If you return, you'll be arrested." Mom looked at me with pure hatred. "You're dead to me." "I've been dead to you for years," I replied. "Now it's just official." Mrs. Henderson said loudly, "No wonder she moved to the desert." As my family was escorted to their rental car, the gathered neighbors didn't disperse. Instead, they moved closer to me, forming an unexpected wall of support. Mrs. Henderson, all 5 feet of her, marched up to my mother. "Shame on you! Trying to break into your daughter's home? What kind of mother does that?" You don't understand, Mom started. I understand plenty. I've watched Ingrid for 6 months. Quiet, respectful, kind, helps me with my groceries, volunteers at the animal shelter. And you show up here like criminals? Mr. Johnson added, We all saw you trying to bribe that locksmith. That's illegal, you know. The crowd murmured agreement. Someone was still live streaming. Brittany tried damage control. She's mentally ill. She stole from family. Sounds like she escaped from family, someone called out. Mom's face crumbled as she realized the optics. Here she was, caught on multiple cameras, trying to break into a house, screaming at her daughter, being escorted away by police. This wasn't the narrative she'd planned. This isn't over, Evan threatened as he got in the car. Actually, it is, Deputy Ramirez said. If any of you return, it's an automatic arrest. Ms. Torres will have extra patrols this week. As they drove away, Mrs. Henderson patted my arm. You okay, dear? Better than okay, I said, surprised to find it was true. The neighbors lingered, offering support. The Johnsons invited me for dinner. The Martinez family offered their security camera footage as additional evidence. Even the usually silent Mr. Park said, Good boundaries make good neighbors, and good life. By noon, the video had gone viral in the local community Facebook group. The comments were unanimously supportive of me. Mom's attempt at public shaming had backfired spectacularly. Every guilt text became evidence. Every voicemail, proof of harassment. The digital assault started within hours of their departure. My old phone, which I turned on to document everything, exploded with notifications. Mom posted on Facebook, My daughter has been brainwashed. She called the police on her own mother. Pray for our family. The comments from her friends were predictable. How awful! Kids these days! You don't deserve this! But then something interesting happened. The video from this morning started circulating. Someone had edited together multiple angles. The locksmith bribery attempt, Mom calling me a bitch, Evan kicking my gate. The real story was out there. Cousin Maria texted, You've destroyed the family. Happy now? Aunt Patricia. Your mother is having chest pains from stress. This is on you. Evan sent a voice message. You're going to regret this. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. I screenshot everything, saved every voicemail, documented each threat. James was building a harassment case that was ironclad. The flying monkeys came next. Distant relatives I hadn't heard from in years, suddenly deeply concerned about family unity. Each one got the same response. This matter is being handled by my attorney. Dad's message stood out. I'm sorry it came to this, but you have to understand, your mother is devastated. Can't you just share some of the money? I actually responded to him. She's devastated that the ATM is broken, not that she lost a daughter. She lost me years ago when she forgot 3 Christmases. The guilt campaign escalated for 3 days, then suddenly stopped. James had sent cease and desist letters to everyone who'd contacted me. The letters included screenshots of their messages and warnings about harassment charges. Mom's final Facebook post before going silent. Some children are just born evil. Are you Team Ingrid, or do you think family deserves automatic forgiveness? Let me know in the comments. And if you're finding value in this story about setting boundaries, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. The legal aftermath is about to get intense, and you won't believe what my brother tried next. Let's get back to how this all ended. The letter was clear. Further contact will be considered harassment and prosecuted accordingly. James Mitchell didn't mess around. The cease and desist letters were delivered by certified mail, requiring signatures. Each one was tailored to the recipient's specific actions. Mom's letter detailed 376 text messages, 147 phone calls, 23 social media posts containing defamatory statements. It included screenshots of her calling me mentally ill, a thief, and evil. Evans was worse. Attempted breaking and entering, assault on property, kicking gate, bribing a locksmith, 89 threatening messages including, You're going to regret this, and I'll destroy you. But the kicker was what James discovered about Evan. He had a prior conviction for harassment from an ex-girlfriend. Another violation could mean jail time. The letters gave them 72 hours to remove all social media posts about me and cease all contact, direct or indirect. Any violation would result in immediate legal action. The family group chat, which Maria kept screenshotting and sending to my work email, exploded. "She's actually suing us?" Aunt Patricia. "This is insane." Evan. "We need a lawyer." Mom. "I'm not paying for a lawyer." Dad. That last comment from Dad was telling. The cracks were showing. Then came the unexpected twist. Evan's girlfriend Brittany posted the video she'd taken, thinking it would vindicate them. Instead, it showed exactly what happened. Them trying to break in, me calmly stating facts, the police supporting me. The comments destroyed them. The entitlement is insane. Team Ingrid 100%. Imagine thinking you own your adult child's inheritance. Within 48 hours, all posts were deleted. The messages stopped. The calls ended. For the first time in my entire life, my family was silent. And it was beautiful. Dad said, "I should have protected you from them. I failed." The family fracture started with cousin Angela, who'd always been the quiet one. She texted my work phone. "I saw the video. I'm sorry. They did the same to me when Grandma died. I support you." Then Uncle Robert, Mom's brother. "Margaret's always been like this. Good for you for getting out." The family was splitting into factions. Those who'd been burned before versus those still under Mom's influence. But the biggest shock came from Dad. He called from a number I didn't recognize, his work phone. "Ingrid, it's Dad. Don't hang up. I'm not calling to harass you." I stayed silent. "I've filed for divorce." I nearly dropped the phone. "What?" "This trip to Arizona. Seeing your mother like that? It opened my eyes. I've been enabling her for 37 years. Enabling them both. Dad, I should have protected you. When you were excluded from Christmas, I should have stood up. When they drained your accounts, I should have said something. I failed you as a father." "Why now?" "Because I saw you stand up to them. My 31-year-old daughter has more courage than I've had in 6 decades. The papers were filed yesterday. I've also separated our finances. Turns out I've been funding Evan too, just indirectly." "Where are you staying?" "A hotel for now. Your mother doesn't know yet. She's too focused on fighting your restraining order." "She's fighting it? With what lawyer? I don't know. Evan convinced her they have a case. They don't." "Dad, be careful. I should be saying that to you. But you don't need it. You've got this handled better than I ever could." It was the first real conversation we'd had in years. My therapist said, "You didn't break the family. You revealed what was already broken." 3 months post-confrontation, life had settled into a new rhythm. The restraining orders were approved. 3 years, no contact. Mom and Evan had contested them, but showing up with a locksmith to break into my property didn't help their case. Work was thriving. The promotion came with responsibilities I could actually focus on without family drama. My team respected me more, knowing nothing about the family situation but sensing my new confidence. "You're different," my manager noted. "More assertive, more strategic, leadership material." My sessions with Dr. Martinez had evolved from crisis management to actual healing. "You're not just surviving anymore," she observed. "You're thriving." "I feel guilty sometimes," I admitted, "like I should feel worse about cutting them off." "That guilt is programming, not truth. Would you feel guilty for escaping a burning building?" "No." "Then why feel guilty for escaping a toxic family?" The desert community had adopted me completely. Mrs. Henderson invited me to every family dinner. The Johnsons included me in their weekend hikes. Mr. Park taught me about desert gardening. "You're our bonus daughter," Mrs. Henderson said one evening. "The one we chose." I'd joined the town council, the library board, started a data literacy program for seniors. My life was full, purposeful, connected, everything it hadn't been when I was drowning in family obligations. The old phone stayed in the drawer, turned off. Once a month, James would check it for legal purposes, documenting any violations. There were attempts, fake numbers, flying monkeys, even a private investigator Mom hired who James shut down immediately. But none of it touched me anymore. I'd built something they couldn't infiltrate, couldn't manipulate, couldn't destroy. A life that was completely, authentically mine. Cousin texted, "Evan's working at Walmart now. Your mom shops at Target to avoid him." The family gossip network, which I'd been excluded from for years, suddenly included me through the rebels who'd sided with me. Angela became my inadvertent informant. "You won't believe what's happening," she messaged. "Your mom and Evan are at war." Without my money cushioning their reality, the truth emerged. Mom couldn't afford to support Evan alone. Dad had taken his income with him in the divorce. The house was being sold. Evan had to get a job, Angela continued. Night shift at Walmart. Mom's humiliated. The golden child was finally experiencing reality at 35. No more BMW, no more funded entrepreneurship, no more excuses. "But here's the crazy part," Angela added. "He's telling people you ruined his life, that he was about to start a business with Ruby's money." "What business?" "Cryptocurrency consulting. He doesn't even understand basic email." Uncle Robert confirmed more details. "Your mom's living with Patricia now. Evan's in a studio apartment. They blame each other for losing you." "Losing my money, you mean?" "That too. But I think your mom's starting to realize what she actually lost. She saw your company's announcement about your promotion online. Director of Data Strategy, right? She cried for 3 days. Tears of pride? Tears of regret. She told Patricia she didn't even know what you did for a living." That hit harder than expected. 10 years of funding their lives, and she never once asked about my actual work. "Evan's girlfriend left him," Angela added. "Said without the money, she saw who he really was." The house of cards had collapsed completely. Without my foundation propping them up, they had nothing but the reality they'd been avoiding for years. She wrote, "A good daughter would forgive." I thought, a good mother wouldn't need forgiveness. The letter came through James's office, delivered with a warning that it had been reviewed for any violations of the restraining order. Technically, going through my lawyer was allowed. Mom's handwriting hadn't changed. Still the perfect Catholic school cursive that she'd used to sign permission slips I forged because she forgot. "Dear Ingrid, I don't understand how we got here. I did my best as your mother. Maybe I made mistakes, but what parent doesn't? Evan is struggling without family support. He's working minimum wage. Is that what you wanted? To see your brother suffer? He talks about you constantly, about how you betrayed family. Your father abandoned me after 37 years. Patricia says it's because of the stress you caused. I'm living in her guest room like a refugee from my own life. I see now that Ruby poisoned you against us. She was always jealous of my family, of having children. She turned you into her, cold, alone, selfish. A good daughter would forgive. Family is blood. You can't change that. One day you'll need us and we won't be there. You'll die alone like Ruby. Despite everything, I'm willing to forgive you. Come home. Bring the money Ruby left. We can start over. Evan needs help getting back on his feet. I need help with Patricia's rent. Your family needs you, but more importantly, you need us. You'll see, Mom." I read it twice. Not once did she apologize. Not once did she acknowledge the abandonment, the exclusion, the decade of financial abuse. Instead, more guilt, more manipulation, more demands for money. I didn't respond, but I kept the letter. Proof that even faced with consequences, she'd learned nothing. 365 days of choosing myself, not one regret. 1 year after the confrontation, I stood on my patio watching the sunrise paint the mountains gold. Coffee in hand, peace in heart, freedom in every breath. The restraining orders held firm. No violations after the letter. The silence had become sacred. My life had transformed beyond recognition. Director of Data Strategy with a team of 12. Six-figure salary that was mine alone. Savings account breaking 100K. Investment portfolio growing. The American dream that was actually mine, not subsidizing someone else's. But the real victory wasn't financial, it was emotional. I woke up without dread, answered my phone without panic, checked my bank account without calculating who needed what. You've completely individuated, Dr. Martinez observed in what would be our last regular session. You're not defining yourself in opposition to them anymore. You're just you. She was right. I'd stopped thinking about them daily, then weekly, then barely at all. They'd become characters in a story I used to live, not active players in my current life. The desert house had become a haven for other boundary setters. I'd started a monthly dinner for people estranged from toxic families. We called it the Chosen Family Club. No guilt, no judgment, just understanding. You saved my life, one member told me. Seeing you stand up to them gave me courage to stand up to mine. Dad visited once, after the divorce finalized. He'd started therapy, gotten his own apartment, began rebuilding at 62. I'm proud of you, he said, looking out at the desert. You did what I should have done 30 years ago. It's never too late, Dad. No, but it's too late for some things. I can't undo the years of letting them hurt you, but I can make sure it never happens again. This Christmas, every seat at my table was filled with people who actually wanted to be there. December 25th, 2024. 1 year after the inheritance, the escape, the freedom. My dining room table, the one I'd bought without guilt, without calculating how much Evan needed, was surrounded by chosen family. Mrs. Henderson at the head, insisting on helping with turkey. The Johnsons brought their famous tamales. Mr. Park contributed Korean dishes his late wife used to make. 3 members from the Chosen Family Club who had nowhere else to go. This is what family looks like, Mrs. Henderson announced, raising her wine glass. People who show up because they want to, not because blood obligates them. I didn't check social media, didn't wonder what Mom and Evan were doing, didn't feel the familiar Christmas morning dread that had haunted me for years. Instead, I felt joy, pure, uncomplicated joy. Last year, I told the table, I spent Christmas alone, watching my family celebrate on Instagram without me. It was the worst day of my life, and the best, because it freed me to find all of you. To freedom, someone toasted. To boundaries, another added. To chosen family, Mrs. Henderson declared. After dinner, we shared stories. Each person had their own journey of breaking free, setting boundaries, choosing themselves. We weren't broken. We were brave. As the evening wound down, Mr. Park pulled me aside. Your Aunt Ruby would be proud. You built something beautiful from her gift. He was right. This house wasn't just walls and a roof. It was a sanctuary for healing, a testament to boundaries, a celebration of choice. That night, I stood in my backyard under the vast desert sky, stars brilliant without light pollution. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I belonged. Ruby's final letter. Break the cycle. Your freedom is my legacy. While cleaning out a closet, I found a box James had given me months ago, Ruby's personal effects that the estate lawyer thought I should have. I'd been too raw to go through them then. Inside were photos I'd never seen. Ruby in her 20s, vibrant and hopeful. Ruby at family gatherings, gradually moving from center to edges, just like I had. Ruby alone on trips around the world, smiling wider than she ever did at family events. At the bottom, an envelope marked, "For Ingrid, open only after you're free." Inside, her handwriting, dated a month before she died. My dear Ingrid, if you're reading this, you've done what I couldn't do until I was 50. Escaped. I watched Margaret drain you, just like my mother drained me. Different generation, same playbook. I spent 30 years funding my family's dreams, while mine withered. Every promotion I earned went to my brother's failed businesses. Every savings goal I set got redirected to family emergencies. I was 48 before I said no. Margaret never forgave me for that no. She called me selfish, cold, the family failure. But that no saved my life. It gave me 17 years of freedom, travel, purpose, joy. I see that same light in you, dimming year by year under their demands. So I'm giving you what no one gave me: permission to leave and resources to stay gone. Break the cycle. Your freedom is my legacy. Build something beautiful. Live without guilt. Choose joy over obligation. And remember, the best revenge is a life well lived without them. All my love, Ruby. I created the Ruby Smith Foundation that week. Scholarships for young women escaping financial abuse. Ruby's freedom multiplied. James framed the restraining order. He said it's the cleanest boundary he's ever seen. The legal wrap-up took 6 months but resulted in complete victory. The restraining orders were not just approved but extended to 5 years after Evan violated his by having someone else contact me. Your case is textbook perfect, James told me during our final meeting. Every document filed correctly, every interaction recorded, every boundary clearly stated. I'm using this as a template for other clients. The attempted lawsuit Mom threatened never materialized. No lawyer would take a case where the will was clear, the money was legally transferred, and the property was properly purchased. They tried 7 different law firms, James chuckled. Each one reviewed the case and declined. One actually called me to compliment our documentation. The LLC structure had worked perfectly. Even if they'd somehow won a claim against me personally, the house was untouchable. Desert Rose Holdings, LLC, was bulletproof. Ruby knew exactly what she was doing, James reflected. She didn't just leave you money, she left you a blueprint for protection. The security footage from the confrontation became evidence in 3 other restraining order cases in town. Apparently, my family's public meltdown had inspired others to document their own situations. Deputy Ramirez stopped by one afternoon. "You've changed things around here," he said. 3 other families have filed protection orders since your situation. People saw it was possible to stand up legally, properly, without becoming the villain. I never wanted to be an example. The best examples never do. They just live their truth and others notice. James had one final document for me: a cease and desist from any future inheritance claims. If any other relative died and left me anything, the family couldn't contest it. Airtight protection in perpetuity, he said. You're legally bulletproof. Mrs. Henderson brings pie every Sunday. She says, "You're the daughter I wish I had." The concept of family had been completely redefined in my desert sanctuary. Sunday dinners at Mrs. Henderson's became tradition. She'd lost her daughter to addiction years ago, and I'd lost my mother to narcissism. We filled those spaces for each other without trying to replace what was lost. "You know what I love about you?" she said one evening, serving her famous apple pie. "You show up because you want to, not because you have to. That's real love." The Johnsons included me in every milestone: their daughter's graduation, their son's wedding. I had a seat at their table, a place in their photos, a role in their lives. Everything my biological family had denied me. Mr. Park taught me Korean while I helped him with technology. In Korea, we say jong, a deep affection that grows over time between people. Not family, but more than friends. That's what this is. My work team had become another chosen family. When I mentioned spending Thanksgiving alone, they immediately invited me to their celebrations. No questions, no pity, just inclusion. "Family isn't who you're born to," my colleague Sarah said. "It's who shows up during the hard times and celebrates during the good ones." Dad visited monthly now, rebuilding our relationship from scratch. "I'm learning who you actually are," he admitted. "Not the ATM Margaret made you into, but the brilliant, kind woman you've always been." The Chosen Family Club grew to 30 members. We celebrated holidays together, supported each other through triggers, proved that blood doesn't make family. Choice does. "We're not broken," became our motto. "We're brave enough to build better." Every relationship in my life was now chosen, mutual, respectful. The difference was profound. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up without needing your wallet. The truth about family revealed itself slowly, like desert flowers after rain. Family wasn't DNA or shared history or obligation. It was simpler and more complex than that. Family was Mrs. Henderson texting, "Drive safe," every time I left her house. It was Mr. Park leaving Korean food on my porch when I worked late. It was the Johnsons including me in their family portrait without question. Family was my team at work, defending my ideas in meetings. It was Dad learning to ask, "How are you?" without following up with requests. It was James Mitchell refusing to bill me for quick legal questions because that's what we do for family. I'd spent 31 years believing family meant sacrifice without reciprocation, giving without receiving, shrinking so others could grow. That wasn't family. That was exploitation dressed up in DNA. Real family multiplied joy and divided sorrow. They celebrated your promotions without asking for loans. They remembered your birthday without needing reminders. They included you because they wanted you there, not for what you could provide. "You know what I realized?" I told Dr. Martinez in a check-in session. "I didn't lose a family. I escaped a crime syndicate that happened to share my genetics." She laughed. "That's the healthiest perspective I've heard." The truth was liberating. I hadn't broken sacred bonds. I'd broken trauma bonds. I hadn't abandoned family. I'd abandoned abuse. I hadn't chosen isolation. I'd chosen peace. Every person now in my life had earned their place through consistent respect, genuine care, and mutual support. That was family. Everything else was just genetics. "Blood makes you related," I wrote in my journal. "Loyalty, respect, and love make you family. I'm finally home." They said nothing grows in the desert. They were wrong. I grew here. 2 years after buying my desert sanctuary, the landscape had transformed. The garden I'd planted, succulents, cacti, desert marigolds, bloomed in defiance of the harsh environment, just like me. Standing on my patio this morning, coffee in hand, mountains painted pink by sunrise, I realized the desert had taught me everything. How to thrive with less water, not drowning in others' demands. How to grow deep roots, not shallow connections. How to bloom despite harsh conditions, not because of perfect ones. My life was unrecognizable from 3 years ago. Director of Data Strategy had become VP of Analytics. The $400,000 inheritance had grown to $600,000 through smart investments. The house had appreciated by 30%. But numbers didn't capture the real growth. I woke up without anxiety, answered phones without fear, gave generously from abundance, not obligation, loved freely without manipulation, lived fully without guilt. The family that had forgotten me 3 Christmases in a row was now a footnote in my story, not the main chapter. They existed somewhere, living with their choices. I existed here, thriving with mine. Sometimes tourists stopped to photograph my blooming desert garden, amazed that such beauty could grow in such harsh conditions. If they only knew. "How do you get things to grow here?" a visitor once asked. "You choose the right things to plant," I told her. "Things that don't need more than you can give. Things that thrive in the conditions you have. Things that bloom not despite the desert, but because of it." She thought I was talking about gardening. I was talking about life. My name is Ingrid Torres. I chose myself, I grew boundaries, I bloomed in the desert, and I have never, not once, regretted it. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share your own boundary-setting victories in the comments below. Remember, no is a complete sentence, and you don't owe anyone access to your peace. What boundaries do you need to set in your life? Let me know. I read every comment and your stories inspire me every day. Until next time, choose yourself.